Good afternoon, students. Welcome back to physics classes. So yesterday we have started with revising the chapters motion in one dimension and motion in two dimension. But we didn't complete motion in two dimension in the last day. So we will start with the motion in two dimension today. And yesterday we have stopped with a numerical problem. I hope you got the answer for that. Did you get it? A stone is thrown vertically from a height of 40 meter, and what time within what time it will come back to the ground. Did you get its answer? Anybody? No. So you listen here. Suppose when the stone is thrown from the top of a tower of 40 meters, we have seen yesterday it takes 1 second to reach the maximum height, and the maximum height is 5 meters. That we seen in the last class. So from the maximum distance it is coming down to reach the ground. So within what time it will be reaching the ground? What time it will reaching the time? So what time is taken from the top of the tower to the maximum height, and from the ground how much time it is required? So the sum of these two will give you the total time of flight for that object. So now from the maximum height, its initial velocity is equal to 0, and it travels a distance 45 meter, 40 already there on the tower, and 5 meter again just will go to the upward direction. So the total distance now to travel by that object to reach the ground is 45 meter. And acceleration, that is 10 meter per second square, acceleration is also active in the downward direction. So you can have ut plus half a t square is equal to yes. So it says u is equal to 0, so the first term will get cancelled. So 1 by 2 into 10 into t square is equal to 45. The total distance traveled is 45. So you can have 10 t square is equal to 90. T square is equal to 9, or t is equal to. By 3 seconds, the particle travels from the maximum height to the ground. What is the time taken by the particle to climb from 40 meters to the maximum height? That is 1 second already we have got in the last day. So the total distance will be the inverse one, that is. Okay. So within 4 seconds, the particle, when it is thrown from the height of 40 meters, it will reach the ground. Okay. So that is the answer for that question that I given you in the last class. So one more typical kind of questions you can solve now, that is question number 23 from the page 141, question number 23. So the question says displacement of a body varies with the time t as given x is equal to minus 2 by 3 t square plus 16t plus 2. That means the displacement of an object is given as a function of t. So we can have displacement xt is given by minus 2 by 3 t square, isn't it? Minus 2 by 3 t square plus 16t plus 2. Minus 2 by 3 t square plus 16t plus 2. This is the displacement given, or the displacement of an object given as a function of time. Which means as time varies, displacement also varies. And what we are asked to find out, how long does the body take to come to rest? How long the body takes to come to rest? See, here with respect to time, the position is changing. When it is coming to rest, its position will not change with respect to time. Isn't it? One more thing we can say that if the object comes to rest, its velocity will become 0. isn't it? If an object is at rest, it is having zero velocity. So displacement we are getting as x of t is equal to minus 2 by t square plus 16t plus 2. Now you can calculate what is velocity. You know velocity is equal to dx by dt, rate of change of displacement. So you have to differentiate d by dt of minus 2 by 3 t square plus 16t plus 2. This is a practice for your differentiation questions. Okay. Which is equal to minus 2 by 3 into d by dt of t square plus 16 into d by dt of t plus d by dt of t. Now it is minus 2 by 3, d by dt of t square is equal to 2 into t to the power 2 minus 1 plus 16 d by dt of t is equal to 1 plus d by dt of a constant. 2 is a constant. Differential of a constant is c. So you will get it. All these rules are there with you. So it will become minus 2 by 3 into 2t plus 16. That is velocity. V you are getting as minus 2 by 3 into 8 plus 16. That is V is equal to minus 4 by 3 t plus 16. Huh? When the particle comes to rest, this velocity will become 0. So when velocity equal to 0, minus 4 by 3 t plus 16 equal to 0. That is 16 is equal to 4 by 3 or t is equal to 16 into 3 by 4. Then that means t equal to 12. That means after 12 seconds, that particle comes to 0. You get that? After 12 seconds, that particle comes to, particle's velocity comes to 0, which means that particle comes to the state of rest. So that is a particular type of question that I solved here. So that all about our first chapter motion along a straight line. Now, in this chapter motion along a straight line, we have introduced with a new method in mathematics, that is calculus, differential calculus as well as integral calculus. So the general rules of integration and differentiation are there with you. You go through that and make use those rules to differentiate the functions provided to you. So a differentiation and integration should be there in your question paper. So remember, I'm not giving you the questions you have to solve, but you remember differentiation and integration, both methods you have to learn thoroughly. Clear? Now, that is a mathematical tool that we have taken from the first chapter. So the second chapter also starting with a mathematical tool only, and that is vectors. So the first topic that you have to revise in this second chapter, that is motion along a plane, is vectors. What is a vector? How you can represent a vector? Then what are the types of vectors? The types of vectors are important. Types of vectors are important. So the types of vectors are equal vectors, parallel vectors, opposite vectors, negative of a vector, and a null vector. What do you mean by a null vector? Null vector is a vector having zero magnitude and acting in any arbitrary direction. So properties of vector, different types of vectors are important. Different types of vectors are important. Then polar vectors and axial vectors. Equality of vectors. How you can say that two vectors are equal? Vectors are equal only when their magnitudes as well as the directions are equal. Two vectors with the same magnitude acting in the same direction can be taken as equal vectors. Okay, then how you can add two vectors? Vector addition you can achieve by analytical method that you can do by triangular law as well as parallelogram law. Triangular law of vector addition and parallelogram law of vector addition. How we can add two vectors using parallelogram law? How you can add two vectors using triangular law? Both you have to revise. Then how you can find out the magnitude of vector, magnitude of the resultant vector when two vectors are added by parallelogram law of vectors. That is r is equal to root of a square plus b square plus 2ab cos theta. That equation, that derivation also we have discussed, and you go through that equation. R is equal to root of a square plus b square plus 2ab cos theta, and the direction tan alpha is equal to b sin theta divided by a plus b cos theta. So remember that. Okay. Now, how you can subtract two vectors? I told you there is no subtraction, only addition of negative of a vector. Addition of negative of a vector. So, how you can find the negative of a vector? Negative of a vector can be taken as same magnitude but acting in the opposite direction. If vector A is there and vector A is acting towards right, so negative of vector A having the same magnitude but acting in the opposite direction. So same magnitude acting in the opposite direction is negative of a vector. So when you are adding, so when you are subtracting the vectors A and vector B, B is getting subtracted from A. So you have to revise in reverse the vector B and how to add minus B with A. So this is the result. So that is subtraction of vectors, that is addition of inverse of a vector, that is addition of negative of a vector. That is the method of vector subtraction. So in vector operation, we have started with vector addition. Vector addition, we got two methods. The same methods you can use for subtraction of two vectors also. That means addition of a negative of a vector leads to subtraction of vectors. Then we can have resolution of vectors. That is very important. How you can resolve a vector into its components. How a vector can be resolved into its components. So if you are having a vector A in xy plane, then A is making an angle theta in the x-axis. So component of A along x-axis can represent as Ax is equal to A cos theta and Ay is equal to A sin theta. When you are adding these two Ax and Ay, that will vector Ax and vector Ay. So this is only magnitude. So this is when these vectors we can have the unit vectors also. So when you are adding these two vectors Axi plus Ayj, you are getting that vector A. That is, this is the vector Axi and this is the vector Ayj. So when you are adding, you are getting the result as vector A. So that is the resolution of vectors representing a vector in terms of its components. That is the process of resolution of vectors. So suppose a question is asked like this: define resolution of vectors with an example. So first of all, you have to define what is resolution. Splitting a vector into its component vectors. That is the process of resolution. Then you can take an example as vector A, which is laying in an xy plane. So its x component is Ax cos theta and A cos theta and Ay is Ay sin theta, A sin theta. Then that vector can be represented as vector A is equal to Axi plus Ay. So that completes that answer. Okay, so in that sense, you have to prepare these topics. That means addition of vectors, subtraction of vectors, then resolution of vectors. Finally, we came to product of two vectors, multiplication of vectors. Very, very, very important. Multiplication of two vectors. Two types of vector multiplication is there. Two types of vector multiplication is there, that are scalar product, that is dot product, and cross product. Dot product is also known as scalar product and cross product is known as vector product. How you can define the cross dot product between the vectors? How you can define the dot product between the vectors? If A and B, vector J, and vector B, which are represented by two, suppose we are having two vectors like this, A and B, making an angle theta between them. Two vectors A and B makes an angle theta between them. Then the dot product between them, A dot B, dot product between vector A and B, A dot B is defined as magnitude of vector A, magnitude of vector B. I already told you in your question paper, you will get bold letters A dot B. If it is written as bold, you remember that two are vectors. And it is given as A B cos theta. So this A and B, which are not as bold, are representing their magnitudes. So A dot B is defined as A B cos theta. And in component form, A dot B is represented as AX dx plus AY BY plus AZ. So in component form, how you are getting that? That is not important, but that result you have to remember, that is AX BX plus AY BY plus AZ BZ represents the dot product of two vectors in terms of their components. So from there, I mean, you will get a result that I dot I equal to 1, J dot J equal to 1, and K dot K equal to 1. All other dot products are coming to 0. That means I dot J, I dot K, J dot I, J dot K, K dot I, K dot J. All these are coming to 0. Because dot product is defined as VB cos theta, where theta becomes 90, all those dot products are coming to 0. If theta equal to 0, that means parallel vectors only give you non-zero dot product. Remember that parallel vectors are only giving you non-zero dot products. If the vectors are perpendicular, obviously their dot product will be 0. So this dot product can be used for checking the orthogonality of vectors. Orthogonality means if they are perpendicular or not. So if two vectors are given, suppose question may be asked like that, two vectors are given A and B, and you have to check whether they are orthogonal or not. So what to do? You have to just take the dot product between them. If the dot product coming to 0, then that will be the vectors will be perpendicular. If they are not coming to 0, that A dot B is not equal to 0, then they are not perpendicular. Clear now? So perpendicularity, that is orthogonality, you can check by their dot product. If the dot product is 0, then they are perpendicular. If they are not, dot product is non-zero, then they are not perpendicular. Dot product is 0, they are perpendicular. The dot product is non-zero, it is they are not perpendicular. Remember that. So that is the dot product. And next is cross product we have defined. So A and B making an angle theta between them. So A cross B, vector A cross vector B is defined as magnitude of A into magnitude of B into sin theta n cap. Magnitude of A into magnitude of B into sin theta n cap. Where AB sin theta is the magnitude and n cap represents its direction. What is the direction of n cap? N cap is always perpendicular to both the vectors A and B. Remember that. N is a unit vector normal to both A and B. N is a unit vector which is normal to both A and B. Remember that. So you have to express it in terms of components. Across B, you have to express in terms of its components. But it is not as easy as dot product. In cross product only, 3 terms are coming to 0 and all other 6 terms are remaining there. So there you can have the unit vectors, cyclic unit vectors like this ijk. Then I cross j is a, j cross k is I, k cross I is j. If you are taking the anti-clockwise direction, I cross k is minus j cross k is minus I, j cross I is minus. That is cyclic unit orthogonal unit vectors you have to remember. But remember, I cross I, k cross k, j cross j. Okay, I cross I, k cross k, and j cross j all are equal to 0. Why? Because cross product is defined as AB sine theta. Sine 0 is 0. So parallel vectors always give you 0 cross product. Parallel vectors always give you 0 cross product. So two vectors are given and you are asked to find out whether they are parallel or no. You are asked to find whether they are parallel or no. What to do? You have to check whether cross product is 0. If the cross product is 0, they are parallel. Clear? If the vectors are perpendicular, then their dot product is 0. If the vectors are parallel, then their cross product is 0. Don't get confused with that. If the vectors are perpendicular, then their dot product is 0. If the vectors are parallel, then their cross product is 0. And how you can express cross product in terms of their components? That is by a determinant ijk, then it is a cross b, a by a z, then bx, by bx. Which is representing vector a cross vector b. I hope you are remembering how you can evaluate this determinant, how you can find the value of this determinant, how you can evaluate. You can take the first row, first column as I multiplied by the first element is first row. So you have to remember neglect these elements in the row and column in which that element is present. So the remaining is you multiply from left to right to bottom minus right to left. So I multiplied by a by b z minus a z. Then next term is automatically -1. Then these two terms you have to remember. So ax is minus ax is bx is multiplied by minus j. Then automatically the third term will be positive. So if it is asked for express cross product in component form, you can either make use the determinants or you can go for that 9 terms and you can write the 3 terms are getting 0 and the I terms, 2 I terms you are having, 2 j terms you are having, 2 k terms you are having, and you can collect all I terms together, all j terms together, all k terms together. Okay, that is also you can do in that sense also, but easiest method you can choose. So this is the easiest method, that is the determinant form is the easy one. So you can express that in the form of determinants also. Okay, so which method you find easy, that method you can choose. It is not necessary that you have to choose only that method. If you find the other one is better one, then you can make, use that one also. But only one condition, answer should be correct. Okay, any method you can choose, no problem. So that is the product between two vectors, cross product and dot product. And then defining all the properties of vectors, we started with our projectile motion. So what is a projectile motion and how you can maintain a projectile motion? So projectile motion means it is a simultaneous movement of a of a projectile of an object in horizontal direction with a constant velocity and vertical movement with a variable velocity. Say simultaneous motion in which have horizontal movement with a constant velocity and a vertical movement with a variable velocity. So if a projectile, if an object is projected in air, no force is acting on that object except which one? Gravity. Only the gravitational force is acting on an object under projectile motion. There you can have an object thrown into air with an initial velocity, making an angle theta with the horizontal direction. So u cos theta component is along the horizontal direction. U sin theta, any point you can say u cos theta is here and u sin theta is actually the vertical direction. The path traveled by a projectile is known as the trajectory, and the time taken to complete one trajectory is time of flight. Then maximum height and horizontal distance traveled by the projectile as the range. Maximum horizontal distance is the maximum range. Projectile motion is very important. You have to learn the definition of projectile motion plus the derivation of the properties of projectile motion, like as I told you, trajectory, then time of flight, maximum height, and horizontal range. Okay, so these all are the terms related to projectile motion, and we have seen the properties of projectile motion, where you are getting the maximum range. For that, what condition you have to satisfy? To get the maximum horizontal range, you have to project the object with the theta equal to 45 degree. Then only you will get the maximum horizontal range. And yeah, then motion of a projectile. Then river crossing problems also we have seen. That means when you are crossing a river, two velocities are acting on you. One is the velocity of you and the other velocity is the velocity of river. So in which direction you have to, or to get the, to cross the river with the minimum time, which way you have to move, or if you want to cross the river with the minimum distance, then what you have to observe. That two cases also we have seen in this chapter. Okay, so in this chapter, only two important factors we have seen. One is vectors and the other is projectile motion. So as I already told you, projectile motion is very important. Then vector products are also important. Properties of vectors also important. What are the types of vectors and properties? Then product between two vectors. Product between two vectors means two kinds of vector product you have to learn: dot product and cross product. Then that river crossing problems and rain problems also. We have explained in detail that if you are traveling and the rain is coming, and which direction you have to hold the umbrella for keep safe from that rain. Those concepts also we have discussed. Okay, so I have given the numericals from this chapter, motion in a plane, and we have solved some problems in our class also. So now I will give you some model questions again, and you can revise the numericals also with the help of this. And while finding the numerical aspect, I am saying how you can find out the magnitude of a vector. If a vector is given in terms of their components, then their magnitude is given by root of all the squares, sum of the squares of their components. That means if A is given as AXI plus AYJ plus A etc., then magnitude is of square plus Y square plus A. Okay, so that also you have to remember how you can find out the magnitude of a vectors. Okay. So one question is there. Prove that. I mean, question number. I mean, page number 209. Question number 20. Prove that vector A 4i plus 3j plus k and B is equal to 12i plus 9j plus 3k are parallel to each other. Try to solve that question. We have already, I mean, we just told that to check the parallel, whether the vectors are parallel or not. What you have to do? You have to take their cross product. If the cross product is 0, you can see that these two vectors are parallel. Now we can have that A equals B. What is A? Components are 4 plus 3 plus 1. So I, J, K, 4, 3, 1. And B is 12 plus 9 plus 3. 12 plus 9 plus 3. So 12, 9, 3 are the component of second vector B. We got A and B. To check whether they are parallel, you have to take the cross product between these. So how you can, this is the practice, how you can find out the cross product. So I into 9 minus 9. See, you are neglecting the row and column including I. So left to top the right to bottom 3, 3, 9 minus right to top left to bottom 9. Next one is minus 3. You are neglecting these 4 into 3, 12 minus 1 into 12. Okay, plus 8 into. Now you have to neglect 4 into 9, 36 minus 3 into 12. 8. What you are getting? You are getting 0i minus 0j minus that. See. So if you are getting the cross product between two vectors as 0, then obviously those two vectors are parallel. Clear? So you can check whether the vectors are parallel by checking the cross product is equal to 0 or no. Same question you can find, prove that vectors and A and B are parallel. Prove that the vectors A and B are parallel. How you can prove? Again, you can take the cross product between these two vectors A and B. If they are coming to 0, we can say that they are perpendicular parallel to each other. Okay. Then find the value of C for which the same question, question number 3, the third section, that find the value of C for which the vectors 3i plus 3j plus 9k and I plus cj plus 3k are parallel. How you can find their value of C? They are parallel to each other. If they are parallel to each other, their cross product will become 0. They are parallel, A cross B is equal to 0. So you can find out the value of A cross B from here, and that can equate to 0. Since it is having C, automatically it will not come to 0 now. So you will get A cross B in terms of C. And you can assign that that is equal to 0 since the vectors are parallel. Then you can find out the value of C from that. Okay. Then find the area of a parallelogram whose adjacent sides are formed by vectors A and B. So vectors are expressed as the two sides of a parallelogram. If two vectors are present as the vector sides of a parallelogram, then the area of the parallelogram will be A cross B. The area of the parallelogram will be A cross B, and the area of area of the parallelogram you can calculate it as A cross B if A and B are two adjacent sides of a parallelogram. Okay, so that is another kind of question from our vectors. Then, yeah. See, question number 16. That is another type of question. Under a force, F is equal to 10I minus 3J plus 6K Newton, a body of mass 5 kilogram is displaced from the position 6I plus 5J minus 3K to 10I minus 2J plus 7K meter. Calculate the work done. How we can find out that work done? Work done W is equal to F/S. You know that. Work done W is equal to F dot S. Vector F dot vector S. Vector F is given the vector F is equal to what is vector F? Vector F is given 10I minus 3J plus 6K. 10I minus 3J plus 6K. What is vector S? Vector S is the displacement vector. But displacement vector is not directly given in the question. But it is given the object is transferred from the first position to the second position. First position is 6I plus 5J minus 3K. And the second position is 10I minus 2J plus 7K. So how you can find out the displacement? Displacement is equal to second position minus initial second position minus the first position. So the second position is 10I minus 2J plus 7K minus final position minus initial position. That is a displacement. In this question, the positions are given in terms of vectors. So you can final position vector minus initial position vector. Initial position vector is 6I plus 5J minus 3K. 6I plus 5J minus 3. Isn't it? Yeah. 10I plus 10I minus 2J plus 7K. 6I plus 5J minus 3K. You have to take the difference of these two. So how you can take the difference? Plus 7 minus of minus 3. That will become plus 10K. Minus 2J minus of 5K. Plus 5K. That will become minus 7. Minus 7J. And 10I minus 6I. That will be 4. Okay. So the displacement vector you can calculate as final position vector minus initial position vector. Final position vector minus initial position vector. So vector S you are getting as 4I minus 7J plus 10K. Now easily you can calculate W. Work is equal to vector F dot vector S. Vector F is 10I minus 3J plus 6. So how you will be calculating F dot S? F dot S is equal to 10 into 4, 40. Minus 3 into minus 7, that is plus 21. Plus 6 plus and 10K plus 10. So that will become plus 6. So 1. Answer is 121. Okay. So if the displacement is not directly given and the position vectors are given, then you can easily find out the displacement vector as difference in final position vector minus initial position vector. Okay. So I think that's enough from the vectors. Find, yeah, if vectors A and B are given, then find the values of A cross B. Simply you can take the determinant ijk, x, y, z like that. Then parallel to each other means of cross product is 0. If suppose it is given, check whether the two vectors are perpendicular or not. What you have to do? You take the dot product between vectors. If the dot product comes to 0, then you can say that it is a perpendicular vectors. For perpendicular vectors, their dot product is equal to 0. Okay, then yeah. Joseph Newton displaces body. Yes, then that kind of questions are the. Another question is, if the find the value of m such that mi minus 2j plus k and 2mi plus mj minus 4k are perpendicular. How you can find it? If two vectors are given and they are perpendicular, and you have to find out the value of m. How you can solve it? You can solve it like, if two vectors are perpendicular, then their cross product will become, sorry, if they are perpendicular, then their dot product become 0. If your dot product becomes 0, you can take 2m square minus 2m minus 4 equal to 0. If you are taking A and B, A is mi minus 2j plus k, and B is 2mi plus mj minus 4k. If you are taking A dot B, then that will become 2m square minus 2m minus 4 is equal to 0. Ax bx plus ay by plus az bz. If it is equal to 0, you can easily find out the value of m. It's a quadratic in m. So you have to use the solution for quadratic equation. Okay, so that is that are the problems from the vectors and problems from the projectile motion that we will discuss in the next class. And along with that projectile motion in a plane, we can have the Newton's laws of motion and friction. Newton's laws of motion and friction. You just go through these two chapters for tomorrow, and we will discuss the important topics from these two chapters in the next class. Okay, so if you have any suggestions regarding our revision, you can tell me now. That means I hope if you are going through the content that we are going to going to discuss in the next day, so you are having some awareness about what are the topics that we are going through. And if you find any issue with those topics, you can ask during the time of revision. That is why we are spending our time with the revision of all these chapters. So if you find any another method, means if you want the revision in any particular mode, then you can tell me now. Anyhow, it is the intention for me to conduct these revision classes that you should be more thorough with the concepts. So for that, if you have any suggestions, you can tell me now, or you can tell me through yes, Priyanka.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
So, in addition of vectors, I have a doubt.
Addition of
Vectors.
vectors. So one thing you just, what is the issue actually?
Sir, to find the resultant, we have a vector r is equal to vector a plus vector b, and in analytical method of vector addition, we have r is equal to under root a square plus b square plus 2ab plus magnitude.
Okay, you mean you are taking that in the triangular law also, the result is same. Suppose you are having vector p and vector b like this, or vector p like this. So triangular method you are accepting, and you are following the triangle like this, and you are accepting here. So this is going to be. So to get the resultant here, you have to consider this triangle and taking the hypotenuse square is equal to base square plus height square. That is resulting into r is equal to root of a square plus b square plus 2ab cos theta. That is only the length of this. That is only the length of the result. That is the magnitude of the result. Okay, now you are taking the same. If the two vectors are here, so the two vectors will be added out taken like this. And if you are taking the resultant in terms of triangular method, the resultant if you are calculating the magnitude of this one, for that what you count x and here you can calculate the magnitude of r, length of r you can calculate in both of them. Resultant should be, I mean magnitude of the resultant should be same and the direction also same. I hope you are clear. Okay. And still you are having issue, just send that what is actually issue to us. Okay. Okay, then revise the next 2 chapters for the next day and we will continue with the workshop.